Hi everyone, Tracy here. By the end of this video, hopefully you should have some more ideas on how to use those resin moulds that we've probably all got, the big alphabet letters. Let's think about what else can we put in those moulds. Well, let's have a look, shall we? Hi, Tracy here from Mini Scenes. Now, I imagine a lot of us have got this mould. Making keychains is a really easy little project and it's dead fun to do. So a lot of us have probably got this mould. Some of us might have smaller ones like this as well. But I thought we'd have a look at different things we can do with them. I'm going to start with the obvious, the different types of glitters, and how we can make that a little bit more interesting than just normal glitter. And then we'll work through various other things. I'm thinking tin foil, I'm thinking washi tape, I'm thinking holographic foils, I'm thinking nail art materials, all sorts. So we're going to start today and see if we can come up with right down to Z, and maybe the numbers as well, in various different effects. So there's my little challenge for this mini series in what to do with these letters. So let's get on with the glitter ones first of all. So what I've done is I've mixed up some 1:1 resin. It's the letter resin one that I usually use, and I've put a load of it into little pots like this because you can squish them and they're easy to pour. Now, can I suggest that before you go pouring your glitter in, because that's the ones we're going to do initially, put a little layer of the resin in first. It just makes sure that you've definitely got some resin in the front of the mould, so you can have a look and make sure you've got your bubbles out. Now I'm going to do, I think, maybe 3 different glitter ones. Yeah, let's have 3 different glitter ones. We'll start with just the obvious, just one colour of really gorgeous glitter, and then we'll think about, you know, can we combine them just with glitter and make it a little bit more interesting than just one glitter. Okay, so I've put that first layer in. I'm just going to make sure we've got no bubbles and we've got right into the corners. Oh, and I've got some new gloves. Look, we've got red ones. This time I've got small, they fit better. Harder to get on and off, but they do fit better. Especially now I haven't got spectacular nails that I used to have. I've been having medium-sized ones previously. Right, so I'm just going to spritz that with the alcohol spray, get the last of the bubbles out. Now we have these little pots. These 3 have been sat just for a few minutes, so they're still quite bubbly. So again, I'm going to give them a little spritz. Now the glitters I've got, most of you who've seen my videos before know I'm rather fond of the glitters from Glitter Stella. This one is called Cleopatra and it's my current favourite. So we're going to mix quite a good thick mixture of that in the first pot. As you can see, it's a nice chunky glitter as well. Just getting a wipe to clean my little spoon off with, because glitter sticks to everything, doesn't it? Yeah, nice chunky glitters. Now this one is called Jack Frost, very silvery. The thing I like about these is that some glitters can yellow when you put them in resin, and whilst it can give quite a pretty effect anyway, kind of what you wanted was the colour you started with on the whole, I would imagine. Let's go for Purple Rain. Oh, lovely, I do like purple. So we can have some Purple Rain in this pot. Might mix the 4th one actually, because I've got some Midnight Blue as well handy. Yeah, let's mix up a 4th pot. I always mix way too much resin. Midnight Blue, this one's called. Quite dramatic, isn't it? Right, let's just stir those in. Now, again, these little glitter going everywhere. I'm going to have glitter where it shouldn't be. Oh, never mind, never mind. That's what always happens. Yeah. This is going to make the glitter quite thick. Glitter. The resin, quite thick. Oh dear, it'd be dangerous if I had a brain. Because there's quite a lot of glitter in there. I'll put the link below for you for Glitter Stella. I have to say their service is awesome. You can buy it through their eBay shop, but I think it's better for them if you order it via Facebook. So if you have a look on their website or their eBay shop, and then drop them a line on their Facebook page maybe. I don't know. I ordered my first batch just via eBay. I think they've got a huge range on the eBay shop, so I'll put you a link to that and to their Facebook page, because that's a nice easy way to contact them as well if you've got any queries. So we've got 4 colours. Now these have settled nicely, so I'm just going to put, in this one, I'm just going to put purely Cleopatra, because I just love this one. And because we've got a bit of clear in there already, it should spread really easily, and we know we've not got any bubbles trapped in there. So that one is just Cleopatra. Isn't it gorgeous? Ooh, I hope the camera's doing it justice. There we are. Now, I'm not going to fill them right up just yet because I'm still thinking about what I'm doing. Put my little pot over on my easy clean tray. Next one, I'm going to put some of the purple. This one's called Purple Rain. Probably inspired by the artist formerly known as Prince, I'm guessing. Now what I'm doing, I'm just pouring it at the top, and as you can see it's piling down towards the bottom. At the bottom I'm going to add some Jack Frost, and it should push it back. Now if you don't want the glitters to mingle and you want a definite line between the two, you will get that to a degree doing this. Actually, I'm going to put a bit in the bottom of my Cleopatra one too. You will get it to a degree, but if you really want it to be very defined line between your colours, then simply let the resin thicken a lot first. There we go. Now that may or may not mingle because I put it in afterwards. I might just have a white patch on the back. I don't know. What I'm saying really is have a play with it. Don't just go for the one colour, because you don't have to. I don't know if 3 colours will work. We could try. So I'm going in with the Midnight Blue on this one. And then let's have some of the white again. Let's push it back up with the white. And if you can see that pushing it back up. And then maybe let's add the purple. It's rather nice, isn't it? And we'll see how much these separate and define. One thing I did want to do was I did want to do a plain one, in fact a plain couple, because I want to show the nail art techniques on plain ones. Now this one I hadn't already put some clear resin in the bottom, so I've just got to hope that it works, but I am going to add some more clear afterwards and I'm going to go around with my stick and make sure it's got into the corners, because I want some that are fairly plain even though they're sparkly, just to do the nail art things on. I'm going to have a play with foils basically. Now see what's happened there? I thought that would spread. Oh. So it seems that clear, you can have clear areas. Well, there we go, that's interesting. Right. Oh, I end up spending more time on the afterthought one than the main thing. Just going to put that to one side and ignore it for now. And look at the glitter everywhere. Oh, it's fun. So let's have a plain, I think this is all I've got left now. Let's go for a plain purple one. So these are the ones we're going to be playing with our nail art on. And again with this one I haven't put the clear in first. To be fair, usually it does work out okay, and you don't usually end up with bubbles in the corners of these because there isn't much of a place to trap them. But I do find that if I put clear in first, it's easier to see and to make sure. So I'm just going to top these all up with the tiniest little bit of clear. And the other thing I'm going to do is do a clear coat to go in the bottom of a couple more. Because there's nothing more going to go in these. These are just going to be our glitters. So clear coat to go in the bottom of these. Next few. And I'm only part filling them. That one's about halfway, probably a bit more than I intended. Right, resin is still well and truly sticky. In fact, it's just quite gloopy at the moment. So while it's at this stage, I thought I'd cut up some of this pretty origami paper. This stuff featured in one of my recent videos around what to do with hearts. Those lovely little heart moulds that many of us have, but I couldn't think what the heck it was at the time. Now I know it's origami paper. So I'm going to cut strips and put into this one, and probably the next one. Now I did find that this lifted slightly when it was put into resin before, so this time I've left the resin to thicken a bit more. And I think just because it wouldn't be a complete without trying to do this, I'm going to try at least one of these, maybe two, with some alcohol inks as well. So I'm just going to cut up some paper. You don't want to watch me doing that, and I'll get some alcohol inks ready, and we'll see what we can do. Right, here we are. We're popping little bits of the paper, which I'm not being overly precious and accurate about at all, but I'm just poking them into the F-shape mould. Decided on the F-shape mould because it's the easiest when you're cutting little squares of paper. Kind of goes without saying really, doesn't it? And I'm not too worried if they overlap at this end either. Doesn't matter, because you're not going to see it. I should probably back them with glitter. You can't go wrong with glitter, can you? Okay. I have a feeling I should have my gloves on, even though this is reasonably stickied up. I'm still going to get it on my hands, aren't I? Oh well, I've started, so I'll finish. I know I'm going to regret this. There we are. So that's that one. I'm going to do the eye with this other piece for the same reason, really. It's about that wide. Of course, you could trace these or stick them on your scanner and print them off. I'm quite tempted to stick it on my scanner save it and convert it to an SVG file. I'm doing that with a lot of stuff lately. Don't know if make it life easier if you can just upload it into your Cricut machine. Right, so that's those two. Now, what else was I going to do? Oh yes, alcohol inks. Well, it's nice and sticky at the moment, so excuse me while I grab my alcohol inks. But I think that's going to be a nice consistency. Trying to do a sort of Petri effect type thing, maybe. Right, I've got. What colours shall we do? Let's see. Should have thought about this earlier. Seem to be missing a couple of colours. These are my Letter Resin inks, which are probably going to end up all over my blooming hands. So I will regret the lack of gloves. Now this is poured quite shallow in these, so I'm not going to get like a Petri effect. I know I'm not. However, we should be able to get some nice colours, and that's the main thing I'm after here. See, it's going to be too near the surface to actually drop. I haven't opened that one, and I don't know where my pin's gone. Right, we'll do without that one. Okay, there's that. And I think the next one I'm going to put magenta in. So with a bit of, oh God, it's going everywhere. I'm going to have to clean all these moulds before I go too much further, aren't I? Yeah, it's one of these. I'll further down the bottom I'll fill it up properly, and we'll have a proper go at doing the Petri effect, I think. Let me just squirt this somewhere, because there we are. Just making sure I've shook it properly. But we should still get, even at this shallow depth, something interesting going on. That's the idea. Probably not going to swirl them. Just putting plenty of white on the top to see what happens. Way too much again, probably. There we are. I'm just going to leave those. Yeah, somewhere down here I'll do a deeper one, and we'll do a proper Petri swirl. So, there we go. There's a few more done. They are not ready to demould in any shape or form, those ones I did previously. So yeah, we'll be back again in another couple of hours or so. The heat mat is on, so hopefully by then we'll be getting somewhere. See you in a bit. I'm just going to put some into these here, some of these nail art charms. Now, I goofed with this last time and put the roses in upside down. So now this time the resin's quite thick, and I found my tweezers, so I can make sure that I put them in up the right way and they don't turn over. At least that's the plan. Now these nail art charms, you can buy them from beauty salon supplies type places. But I also found they'd got them in quite large bags, little pots of them and all sorts, on Amazon and eBay. So there we go. Now we've got our roses in. I'm just going to chuck randomly some other little bits of sparkliness that's in this pack in there. Let's have some more pearls. It's going to look like somebody's found buried treasure, this little one is. Don't be afraid to chuck things into resin. What's the worst that's going to happen? Well, it might not work. It might disappear. You might not see it again. It might dissolve. Some of these are plastic. So it might. See, that's a little crystal. Don't know whether you'll even be able to see that. We'll soon find out. Are there any more of those? Oh yeah, there's one. Another little crystal. Can't get him to come off me tweezers. Note to self, remember to clean tweezers. There's a little star. I thought this resin would be so sticky things wouldn't come back out on the end of my tweezers. More little pearls. Oh, get off. Thank you. Right, more little pearls. Let's have lots of little pearls. I've only got one of those roses left, the red anyway. So, need to order some more. I actually think if these were on your nails, because they are meant for nail art, they'd be really chunky and really get on your nerves. You'd keep catching them on things. Anybody who's ever had these sort of things on their nails, let me know. I'm intrigued. It's the sort of thing that people have done for weddings, I think. Let's have another little crystal. I know I made the mistake of putting Swarovski crystals in resin once. You could barely see them. It was a bit of a waste of posh crystals. Anyway, there we go. So that's another one done. We'll see how these all come out. Obviously they're going to need another coat of resin on the back of some of these before we can demould anyway. So I'll see you again for the next bit. Here we go again then. I've just topped that one up with just clear. And in doing so, I kind of wrecked my gloves. So there's a fresh pair coming out. I stabbed myself basically. And I was tidying up the tweezers. So fresh pair of gloves coming up. Not taking any risks like. So there we are. My new red gloves. These fit a lot tighter. Hard to put on and off, but they are easy to handle things. Right, so yes, I've just topped that one up with clear. These two here, I don't know if you can see, but the hang on, let's just grab the camera and bring it in. These are the two that I filled up with the origami paper, and as you can see, the resin has started to bleed into the paper. Now I know that's not a problem from the recent experiments I did with it, so I'm not too concerned. But what I am going to do is top the backs up with some glitter. And recently I discovered just how beautiful this blue glitter is. So we're going to have that on the one that looked like stylized waves, which was the F, and the other one, if I remember rightly, was like lilac-y colours. So I've got a pretty pink that we're going to go in with on the back of that one. So this bit's quite straightforward, obviously, and then I'm going to do something a little bit different with one of these other ones that I part filled up. Clean my little spoons off, I can use them again. Right, where's my stirrer? There's my stirrer. Right, so here's the blue. Lovely. And here's the pink. And I've gone for a very sort of a lilac-y pink rather than a peachy pink, because I think that will go with the lilac-y colour on the front better. And I'm just going to pinch this little cup up so that we can control the pour. And we're just going to pour it in. Might still need to put a layer of clear on the top if this doesn't quite fill it right up. Oh, not a problem. Can go around and check on them all at the end. But I think that's looking pretty good actually. When in doubt as to what to finish something off with, why not do glitter? There we are. sorted. Yeah, might just need a drop of clear on the top of that. Now this one, going in with a pinky lilac-y pink. It's very pink, isn't it? It's very pretty. Very girly colour. Looks like we're going to be able to fill that one. No problem. There's plenty. In fact, I've got a little bit left. What shall I do with that? Shall I put that in my leftovers tray? No, let's tip it in one of these. As you can see, I'm going to have to clean some of these as I go around because there's glitter got where it shouldn't have done. Just want to empty this out. I don't want to waste it because it's very pretty. Pretty girly stuff. It's funny, I'm so ungirly in so many ways, and then there's some things I just go very girly over, and glitter is one of them. And I've ended up with a blob of it in there as well. Yep, I am going to have to go around and have a clean up. So, yes, I was going to do something a bit fun. I need to clean my gloves. Note everyone, if you clean your gloves off like this, within a few minutes, it could be that the cleaning stuff and the resin that you've got on them will be starting to degrade the rubber, even if you can't tell that. So, don't use them much after you've done that. Right, what I was going to do was take some of these. These are these 3D pearl paints. These are Dovecraft ones, and I was just going to have a go, let's do it in this M, at drawing into semi-cured resin with them. Like so. Whoops, big blob there. I don't think it matters. Just kind of wanted to do something a bit different. There we go. So there's that one. And then I've got a gold, which I thought would be a nice contrast. I'm not going to wait for the purple to dry. I'm just going to go alongside it. They might bleed together. I don't know. I think this stuff's acrylic. Certainly doesn't smell chemically. I think it's water-based. So probably safe to say it's acrylic. I just thought we'd see what happens if we embed it in resin. I've seen it used on the surface of resin for creating details, but look how lovely and pearly that is. So I thought we could just do some dots as well. Like that. Because that'll cure 3D. Oh, let's do a dotty one in a different colour. Let's have silver dots. Should we have silver dots? Let's have silver dots. Yeah, it should stay 3D. And as this is on a heat mat, it should dry really quickly as well. So there we go, we have another material that we're using here. We've done glitter, we've done origami paper, we have done alcohol inks, and we have done false nail embellishments. So that's a bit of an assortment so far. Right, so there we go. We've got some more strange things going on. Shall I leave the rest of that clear, or shall I put some pink in? Okay, this might be well overdoing it. Oh, actually, no, let's put some pink in this. Turn it to pink dots. This suddenly doesn't want to come out. I'm having to squeeze it quite a lot harder, which probably means I'm going to end up with a big splat any minute. Yeah, like that. See, told you. So let's make these ones bigger so they're all the same. Actually, that's kind of inspired me. Let's see if we can do something a bit weird swirl with this. And it seems to have bunged up again. You could do with finding my pin. Where's my pin? I think it is going to just keep blocking up like that. Okay, let's change colour. I'll find my pin in a minute. And then let's maybe go into blue. What's interesting is when these little bottles arrived, I was expecting to have to stick a pin in the end of them or something anyway, to open them. But no, they were already open. So this silver is more of a kind of a pearl colour. Interesting to see what that looks like when it's secured. And what do I need? I need a spike. Let's have a spike. Yeah, what I was suddenly thinking of doing was maybe dragging through these dots. Just see if it does anything interesting. Right, let's just see what that does. There we are. So there's another bunch of stuff done. I'm just going to pour the rest of the resin that I got mixed, can't find it. Which pot? Oh, there it is, that pot. Into these. Just a little dot more into the F, where we put the blue glitter. Just to bring the top layer up. And also these two that I just tipped alcohol ink into. I'm not going to bring those right up to the top because I have a feeling I'm going to want to put some black on the back of those or something. Might be black glitter. Why not keep the sparkle going? This might be a good test to see if this little silvery pearl wall works. Actually, bearing in mind none of this is cured in this V. I'm just tipping in. Sorry, I hope my hand's not getting in the way too much. Must learn to be more left-handed or move my camera the other side. Yeah, I'm just wondering if that wall of that 3D pearl stuff will hold if I put clear in this side. Some bits of glitter had got into it, but okay. Because the thing is, that's water-based and this resin clearly isn't. So it shouldn't mix. Although there's another thought. Oh, I was only going to spend a couple of minutes on this now. I've gone a bit mad. Just going to mix a little dot more resin up because I'm now wondering, can you do a bit like a bloom swirl type thing with this stuff? Because it probably not, because it won't, because it'll stay separated, but whatever it does do could be interesting. So just whizzing up a little tiny bit of resin here. Yes, I'm whisking it like I'm whisking an egg. Via my impatience. Stir slowly for 2 minutes, 4 minutes. What does it normally say? These are a right mess. There's all sorts of everything in them anyway, I can see. But what I'm thinking is top that up most of the way. Look at those bubbles. Yeah, bubbles, whatever. And what I'm wondering is, how does it react if we do actually drop it into the resin? So let's have some green. Let's have some gold. Just dolloping it in randomly, as you can see. And let's have some blue. See, that one is sitting on top of the resin. Let's see what happens if we swirl it in while the resin's actually wet. Ooh. Am I going to end up with a weird marbled effect? This is probably worth trying in a coaster mould or something bigger where there's room for it to move more. We'll see. If it cures, I'll put that on my to-do list, I think. Right, there we go. So we're now waiting for resin to cure again. Oh dear. I'll get onto the dragon project soon. That's what I really wanted to be doing. Right, back for the next bit. Bit on PPE, folks. Jolly nice gloves I've got here. This is how you remove them. First of all, loosen your fingers if they're tight ones, like these are. Then grab them on the back or from the palm and pull them off. That way, this hand has not come into any contact with the inside, with the outside of the glove. Then roll that glove up in the other hand, and then this hand, because you don't want to touch the outside of the glove, get inside it with your fingers, like so, and just do that. And then you have not touched the outside of the glove with either hand. The other one's packaged up inside there. You haven't come into contact with the resin. And that is the proper way to remove your gloves. Okay, we're coming in close on this letter R now. I have put about 3/4 full, let's say, in that, and I'm now going to drop in some alcohol ink. Let's see if we can get a Petri effect. Petri. You say Petri, I say Petri. Oh, so it's Petri because there's one A. Anyway. I'm going in with some greens, some yellow. Then the C deeper. Going for quite a lot, a bit like we did with the letter G, except this R is deeper. Now I'm going to leave that for probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I have got a heat mat going on under this still, so I'm going to leave it for not too long, and then just come back and give it a swirl as we usually do. Daniel Cooper, if you're watching this, don't know if you've ever tried it in any letters and things. If you have, I'm sure you did it a million times better than me. Thank you for the inspiration. Right, I'm back to see if this R has thickened enough. I think it has, to do the swirl. So, I haven't tried to do a Petri swirl for a while. Not properly anyway. So let me just get a tiny little cocktail stick, and a wipe at the ready. I'm not sure this is deep enough even now for it to work, but we'll see. And what I'm going to do is just go back and forth, like that, and see what happens. Looks like it's going to stay put, so that's okay. Right, I'm going to abandon it again and probably leave it a good few hours now. Let what's here set thoroughly. There's still some that have just got like a little film of the resin in the bottom, which I do still want, but the majority of the rest of, well, the top row are all full. That one's full, that one's nearly full, that one's pretty much full. So yeah, other than putting a bit of a back coat on a couple of them, quite a few of those should be ready to demould soon. But I think what I might do is just keep going across all of them and we can demould the whole lot at once, because demoulding is fun, let's face it. So I'm gonna get my thinking cap back on and see what I can come up with for the next few. Still want to do the nail art, though that's going to be done on I think probably that E, because if I remember rightly that was just a plain plain glitter. I might do a plain black one as well for doing the nail art foils on. There's a few different foils I want to try. I'm also thinking I made a holographic insert sheet, so I might have a go at doing that in one of these as well. Anyway, I shall keep thinking and we'll have a go at some more probably in the morning now because it's getting late. So back again soon. Right, the next I'm going to get a bit holographic with. First of all, we have some fusible films, which are kind of dichroic, I suppose. I don't know, they're colour shifty. And these are scraps. People ask me what to do with scraps. These are scraps. So we're going to put some of those into some of these letters. I'm just having a look to see what my bubble situation's like, because it's quite cold in here today. Yeah, not good. I think I'm going to have to use my torch. No, I'll put the heat pad on. Now for this, there we go. For this, to be honest, a few bubbles won't hurt. It'll look quite funky. So I'm trying to remember which I've put what resin in. A little update for you. I demoulded this. This was the one I put Cleopatra glitter in, and then I put some white at the bottom, but it didn't push all the way through. And that's because I filled it up with the Cleopatra first, halfway, and then I put the white in at the bottom, and it sort of pushed it back, but not much. As you can see, you can't see much of the white through. This one I very deliberately put them in two halves, so I'm expecting that to work. That was just a bit of an afterthought anyway. Right, this one I'm going to go in for the X with some of this. This is fusible film, and I can't remember the name of the firm I got it from. It's the one that does all the fusible film stuff. I'll link it for you below. And this is the one of the ones that you get in like a tester pack that's got bits of pre-fused film in it, so it's already got a load of different colours in it. And as you can see, I've cut a load of circles out of this before to do pendants. Which turn out pretty darned awesome, I have to tell you. I'll show you that in another video sometime. Just add that to the list. So these are all the leftovers. So don't forget, you can always cut leftovers up into little bits and do stuff with them. I'm sure most of you do already. So, okay, come on, confess. Pop it in the comments below how many of you have got little pots of bits and scraps like this that hang around for years, and then the day you chuck them away, about 3 days later you think, oh, I had some of that and I threw it away. I need that now. Just done that with a load of my paper crafting stuff. Very annoying. Having said that, I don't throw it away. I tend to give it away to other crafters. Or school clubs, that sort of thing. You know, after school kiddie things and stuff like that. Right, so that's 2 different colours. As you can see, I've got like a shimmery, paler coloured one in there as well. Just going to push it in a bit rough and ready, nothing too fancy. Just make sure I've got a bit of it everywhere, and we're going to top that up with resin. Pushing it down a bit, but I probably am going to end up with bubbles under it, so yeah, hey, whatever. But yeah, looking across these, oh god, I've forgotten that one was still wet. The wall has worked in that one, that's kept the colours back. As you can see, I've demolded that one. Let's get brave and demold the bee. I was going to leave them for one big reveal at the end, but I just wanted to show you the difference between these two. That one I very definitely put the white glitter in after, with the intention of it holding the purple back, whereas with this one I let the blue go everywhere first. So there's a thing around putting them in, and when you put them in, it looks like it's worked with that one and the clear in that one. The wall has definitely worked in that one, and I'm dying to see what these come out like. We shall see. Right, a bit more holographic then. Let's do some of that Florists holographic foil. She says getting it stuck all over my gloves. Oh, thank you. Get off. Right, now I shall just, I'm going to cut this into little bits like I did pretty much with the previous one, and it is going to be quite big bits. So this is that cellophane stuff that Florists put flowers in. It just happens to be a holographic one. Again, it's one I got from somewhere on Amazon. It's quite readily available. If you just put it, search holographic cellophane, but I'll see if I can find you the link. Right, there we go. We've got lots of bits, most of which seem to be stuck to me rather than the going into the resin. There we go. Now, when I've used this before, you might have seen it on my making resin hearts videos. I cut it to shape and I put it in. One of them I pushed it in without cutting it terribly well to shape, and it created a whole different effect again. This time we're cutting it into bits and we're kind of scrunching it a bit like that. Now I know that's going to keep popping out. It is going to fill with bubbles as well. That's okay. There's kind of a bit of method in my madness with the bubbles on this one, because I think that's going to give it a different effect. So that's that in there. So we've got fusible films, we've got the cellophane. Ah yes, now this one, this is going to be a proper test of this stuff. I've made a holographic mould insert. It's a big sheet and it's quite thick. I will release the video on making this shortly, because I don't think I have yet. But I don't know if you can see that, but that has picked up the holographic effect from some film. Now I was a bit loath to cut this because it's so big and so lovely, but I am going to get brave and do that. If you ever do this and you end up with a load of silicone scraps, keep those as well. I'll show you what to do with silicone scraps at some point too. I'm going to do a load of shorts on scraps and then stick them together into one big video, I think, as well. So we've got choices. So I'm trimming away the non-holographic section. This is the edge of the tray. This is a baking tray I made this in. Hence the rounded corners. And I made it a bit thick. I wanted this one to be quite sturdy. Now that might mean it doesn't flop into the tops of the mould terribly well. Sorry, I'm cutting most of this off screen because it's easier. Now the tea I have filled up quite a bit. It's just about reaching the top. So now I'm going to cut a little square out of this that's roughly the same size as the tea. Of course, if I was going to do this a lot, I'd cut them to the exact shapes and things too, but that seems rather wasteful because then I can only use it for this. So what we're going to do is just lie it on the top. Now that I can see has gone, yeah, the resin is contacting it all the way down. We're going to end up with a bit of overflow. You do have to fill it right up to the top to do this. Now hopefully when that's cured, that holographic effect will have transferred onto the letter. So have I got any resin left is the question. Not really much, but rather than waste it, I'm going to pop the last bit in here. Start topping these up, because what I'm going to do with these ones, these holographic, dichroic, whatever you want to call it, colour flippy stuff, is let them sit a little bit and just basically top them up. I might put a black backing on this one, I don't know, still thinking about that, but they do need topping up. So let's just tip this last bit in here. Now the other thing I was going to try with you today is the holographic chameleon, well, are they holographic? I don't know what they are. Colour flip chameleon flakes. I've got some of the letter resin ones. They're pretty awesome. Haven't tried them in these letters though. So let's do that next. I'll get my kit together. Right, so the O and the Q are cured. I did poke my finger in the Q though, so the surface is a bit rough. Be interesting to see what difference that makes. What I've got is some of these glitter powders. They are, what are we called? Mica Flakes. They're from Letter Resin and they colour flip like crazy. And then there's also the mica powder version of the Chameleon. So let's see how differently they behave. Let's do Chameleon in one and powder in the other. So just because I know it's the messiest, I'll leave the Chameleon for last. So this one colour flips like a minty green. So let's go in and do the O. And I'm just putting this in with a brush. I'm going to try and get it up the sides. It'll stick to the silicone as well as to the resin. So this is the kind of minty green. Just a little bit of that going part way around. Going to get the rest of that off on my mat, which is getting messier by the minute. And then I've got this gorgeous blue green. Blue gold green. It's a wonderful colour for doing dragons with. So I'm going to put that round as well. So just blend it a little bit. So should have a bit of a colour change going on in there. Now if you put too much in, you can either tip it out or you can just leave it and what isn't sticking to the resin surface below will just float straight to the surface. What we'll also do, actually, while I've got this on the go, we'll do one of these without putting the layer of resin in first. If you can see with this number 5, it's sticking to the silicone really nicely, and that is how you do it usually. I just thought I'd see what would happen if I put it onto a layer of resin first, because I think that should give a nice clear top coat effectively. So let's use the same two colours so we can see what the difference is between these two. And then we'll move on to do the flakes. I'm burnishing that on quite well. You can use little makeup brushes or anything for this really. Some people use the sponge tip applicators. Whichever you find easiest. It doesn't make a great deal of difference from what I can tell which you use. Oh, there's bits of cellophane flying everywhere here. Right, this is the flakes. As you can see, they're chunkier, and these will go everywhere. So I'm going to get the pot right down close. Oh, I say. Now, what I find with these is that you want to burnish them on really well. Oh, that's into the wet resin. God dear. Wake up, England. That one's wet. Let's see what it does in wet resin. It's going to wreck my brush, but never mind. Yeah, you have to burnish it in well, and you will get a heck of an effect with it. You really will. It's amazing. Some moulds, the more matte finish moulds, it doesn't seem happy to stick to. You're better off with the powder. But I'm going to need another brush now, aren't I? The chances of getting that clean. I'll have a go. Yeah, so you do need to burnish it in rather well. This is the one I was going to do. And just try which moulds it'll work with and which it won't. It seems to be to do with the mould surface. Now this I can already see isn't sticking to the dried resin. But let's carry on and we'll see what happens. Because it does seem to be, in areas, it does seem to be laying down quite nicely. So there's the green. Now again, I'll do the same down here. We'll put some in this number 6. Now this is a fairly shiny mould, so it is sticking. Can you see? It is sticking to the mould. I've just discovered that some of my dragon moulds it'll work in and some it won't. Some it's just I don't know, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't stick. Right, here's the bright green and gold flake. So this is onto the cured resin. Don't forget, the Q is cured. I'm going to have to make notes of these. I'll have forgotten by the time we do the big demould, which is which, won't I? Let's put a bit of that in with the wet resin too. But I'm not going to wreck my brush this time. Oh, it's going everywhere. You will need a mask for this, guys, even if there's no resin involved. Just a dust mask will do, but because it gets... Oh, it's floating around all around me like a little cloud. If you can see it in the air. So be careful what other projects you've got lying around as well, because if there's anything you really didn't want sparkly stuff in, you might want to move it. Interesting to see how that works. I think that's just going to look like glitter in that one. Right, bit of blue into this one. It's blue purple. I've got a new dragon mould. I really am going to get on to doing my series on dragons shortly. Dragons, fairy doors, fantasy generally. And yeah, so we'll see what else I can come up with, but these will definitely come into play for that stuff. As you can see, being so sparkly, it's just crying out to be in fantasy stuff. So there we go, I'm burnishing that around, and it is going on very well onto the silicone. Varying degrees of success with the resin. Right, it is now time to walk off and leave these again. Try to be patient. So my heat mat is now on, just making sure I've left nothing on the heat mat that shouldn't be. Don't want any cooked alcohol inks or anything, do we now? I'm going to get my gloves off and I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, and we'll be back in probably just a couple of hours or so to check on these because of the effectiveness of the heat mat. So here we go. I've still got one that's got just a bit of resin cured in it there as well. We'll see what we do with that in a bit. Right, back soon. Right, back in the messy corner again. Here we go. I've mixed up some clear resin and I'm going to put, I think, a bit more in. Oh, let's see. I'll tell you what, we'll do one of these in clear and one in black. So, so we can see the difference. Let's do the dark one in clear. And then what we're going to move on to is some flowers. I know we all put flowers in these things, but I've got a couple of sort of colour themes I want to do. So we might be back to the obvious ones, but hey. So I'm just topping that one up with clear for now. Right, let's go into the end. These are all going to end up with a bit of glitter in, because it just kind of went everywhere anyway. I'm going to put a bit more into the end. It has got a little bit of a layer in there already from when I popped a bit in previously, and that's cured. So we've now got 2 layers. But what I did want was just to have a good sticky layer on it to do the flowers. There appears to be a little hair in there. The hazards of having longish hair. Right. And let's go with the W, because what I'm about to do won't matter the fact that there's marks in there. I couldn't get them out with the tape. I did try. Anyone who gets glitter and stuff in your moulds, or just dust, just going in with a bit of sellotape or washi tape, anything, these scraps of washi tape, it's good for using actually. Right, so there we go. So we've got some in the W. As you can see, I'm making a right old mess. It's going everywhere as always. Now, what I wanted to do was, first of all, do the obvious one, and that's flowers. The colour theme I wanted with these is autumn. So I have got some of these packs of flowers that you see so readily available on Amazon and eBay and the like. I'll pop you some links if you in case you need them. And they've been dyed, so the colours are really vibrant. And we can just pop them off like this and pop them in. I wanted to just do a bit of an autumn theme because, you know, as I film this, where's my scissors? It's the middle of winter. There's a thick frost outside, so you know, change your season, why not? I'm going to cut all of those off in one go. There we are. So let's pop those, push those in. Must remember to clean my tweezers afterwards. I know these are going up the sides a bit, that's fine. Kind of give it another dimension. So there we go, we've got a bit of that. And then what I thought we'd have is a bit of the leafy stuff, because the leafy stuff in this pack's particularly nice. Of course we can only use really small stuff because of the shapes of the moulds. There we go, let's have a leaf. So we are going to have to trim it down, but these are in nice little fronds because it's some sort of fern. Actually, let's cut them over here on the side. Excuse me going a little bit off camera here. I could zoom you in more, out more, but then I think I'll only end up zooming you straight back in again to see what I'm doing in the moulds. I hope it's close enough as it is. Right, so let's put that in. There's a big one, there's a little one that I'm going to put up the side there. This stuff's so pretty. I'm sure it's dyed. These aren't the natural colours. For a start, there's some what are clearly hydrangea flowers, and they're orange. I don't know if you know anything about hydrangeas, but I'm pretty sure they don't come in orange. My mum's got a spectacular hydrangea. I shall be raiding that for dried flower fodder come the spring. So there we go. Simple as that. Pop some flowers in. I'll pop a bit of resin on the back to see if it jobs a good one. Now, another using up scraps tip. These are scraps of paper. That was a bit I cut out of it was just out of a magazine. Just liked it. These are bits left over from when I've been punching things out before. As you can see, I think this has been through my big shot and cut tags. So I do tend to keep all these, especially this, because this was some like double mates card, which is not the cheapest of card. So what you could probably see there as well was I'd cut a load of little leaves out. So here we go, on with our autumn theme. The N, that was the other one, wasn't it? So it just shows you it's always worth keeping scraps. Oops. Of course they need to be face down, don't they? Yeah, so there is a risk, of course, of becoming a major fire hazard with all your scraps. So be sensible, but keep everything. That's what I say. If you can. My other half will kill me for saying that. I've recently managed to acquire a bit of storage space up at my mum's before this house bursts at the seams. Or I have to rent a storage unit, which I don't really want to do. I think my craft stuff's taking up nearly as much room as the car collection now. Getting a bit out of hand. So, yeah, these are just an assortment from all of those bits of card I just showed you. Right now I'm just picking up the ones that are already face down, because with the stickiness on my tweezers that's dead easy. And I'm just going to put plenty in. I might put a thin layer of resin on top, and then another, maybe another layer. Let's put some up the other way as well. Maybe another layer up the other way. Yeah, I don't know. That'll just, because these are up this way, it'll just add a little bit of white from the other side. Oops. Don't want too many up the other way. And I might add a bit of that green on the back, or I might just leave it. Don't know. In adding another layer, I was thinking it would make it a bit more 3D. I don't know. Maybe I will. I've got a few left. We'll see. So there's a couple of autumn themed ones. Now I've got a bit of resin left. I'm going to put it straight on the top now. As you can see, that's already moving the little paper punch shapes around. Here's the little punch, by the way, little baby one. Can't even remember where I got it from. But the punches are pretty readily available again, aren't they? Now the paper will do like it did in some of my heart projects. It will go a bit clear, and it may lose some of its colour, it may gain some colour. It's hard to say really until it's settled, because it absorbs the resin and some of it goes clear. I think because these are quite vibrant coloured bits of card that I cut those little leaves out of, it should pretty much stay, I think, but we'll see. I'm going to, while I've got some resin on the go, I'm just going to top this up as well, just to see what this one, when I put the Chameleon flakes actually accidentally into wet resin. Just intrigued to see what that does, because I've never done that. Right, and for the rest, I'm going to put black in behind them. So I will find my black. Where's my black? Black pigment. Put it into the last of that resin that I got mixed up. Still using the Letter resin pigments, well, and various others, but the Letter resin ones I find easy to use and quite good dense colours. I think there's a lot of pigment in them, if you know what I mean. So that's gone nice and black. It's going to be a bit awkward to tip out of this big tub, but let's see if we can do it, shall we? Let's do this thing. These are quite chunky moulds after all. Now what you'll probably see happening is, because I put in quite a lot of the mica powder and I didn't brush it off after, oops, put a black drop in the back of that one, and I didn't brush it off, brush the surplus off, deliberately so, this is what happens. Can you see with that O? To bring you in. The surplus Can you see that? The surplus is floating to the surface. So we'll get a bit of an effect on the back as well. The flake looks like it's doing the same. Let's try and do this with my other hand so you can see. The flake looks like it's doing the other thing, the same thing. Quite useful that I'm a bit ambidextrous, isn't it? And I think on the back of this we were going to put some black as well, weren't we? Although it hasn't cured yet. So this might mingle rather than sit on the top. We'll see. We'll see what that does. Just leave it to do its thing. And then this one we were going to fill up. Can you hear my other half whistling? Whistles very nicely actually. At least being this time of year there's no danger of him suddenly deciding to mow a lawn or something while I'm making a video. Okay, so on this little number 5, the surplus chameleon powder is floating to the top too. Just using up the last few drips. Be nice to get these quite well filled up anyway. Save me putting another back coat on later. You kind of want them up to the brim if you can. I mean, if you can get them deep enough to dome while they're still in the mould, it's a nice finish. But for key rings, I don't tend to worry too much because at the end of the day, they are only key rings. However, sometimes you end up having to file off a sharp edge where the surface tension has caused a little lip. And it can be a little bit sharp. That's the only thing to be aware of, really. There we go. There's that. Ooh, dripping everywhere. You know, in my intro it says let's get messy. I wasn't kidding, was I? Bear in mind though, this project has been going on over 24 hours now, so this is 24 hours worth of mess, if that helps. There we go. As you can see, I put some black backing in on some of the others too. This one's going to be a solid, I think this is the one I did as a solid black. I want to try some gold leafing on that. So where are we up to? We've done flowers, we've done colour flippy stuff, we've tried 3D paint, various glitters, we've had a bit of an alcohol ink thing, yeah, so good progress. Next I think will be, what had I got in mind for next? Because we've got some left still, haven't we? Don't know, watch this space. I will come up with something. I've got stuff everywhere, so why not indeed? Beads, that's one thing we haven't done so far, isn't it? Beads, we might do beads next. First thing I need to do though is have a good clear up. So, yeah, I'm going to tidy stuff up here and then we'll go and we'll come back when the next stage is due. Right, let's demould this lot. There's been a couple of funny things happened with them. Let's start at the top anyway. This was the glitter that I put, glitter back origami paper on the front. That's rather nice and a little bit different. I've already demoulded the letter D just to show you that you can separate your glitter from the rest, you know, not only the colours, but you could separate a clear section from your glitter. This C has come out great. That's the 3 different colours of glitter. The resin was quite thick at this point, so it's held the colour shape very well. Now let's pull you in a bit closer on these over here. There we are. This was the one I just dropped alcohol ink in. Didn't do much with it, just dropped it in with some CD per white, Sinker white on the back, and then the black to finish it. You can see they're all a little bit soft because I've got the heat mat going. Now it's created quite a weird organic effect. A little bit of trimming to do here and there. Easy enough. Just pull those bits off. That's rather nice in a weird sort of way. Right, the H. What did I do with the H? Can't remember. I need to turn this heat mat off. Oh, there we go. What did I do with the H? Oh yes, that was inks as well. That was different colours. Yeah, I've got some strange little sticky patches. That might be something to do with the heat mat. Not sure. Right, it's off now. The I was a strip of the origami paper again. Oh, that's nice. Now what's happened there is that some of the glitter has actually come through the paper. Remember I said bits of it were starting to go see-through? So the glitter has come through and the gold and the coloured parts have stayed. So that would make a nice jewellery effect, wouldn't it? Right, where did we go next? Ah, now the J. This is the one I dumped a load of embellishments, wasn't it? A load of nail art embellishments in. That's a cutie. I have got a couple of little sharp bits that I need to trim off, and that is where bits of the nail art metal parts have come out. But that's easy enough. There we are. So that's rather adorable. Moving on. Now these are the ones that have got the that 3D paint in, which I've never tried before, so this could be interesting. Yeah, just a kind of weird 3D marbling effect. This was the one where I stirred it a little bit. That resin sure went everywhere. Lots of trimming to do. Yeah, I gave it a little swizz around, didn't I? It's kind of funky and different. The next one was where I just put dots of the 3D paste. Oh, that's quite an interesting effect. Don't know why I've suddenly got sticky resin underneath these. I'm now wishing I'd got my gloves on. That's an interesting effect because they've stayed quite 3D. I can see that it's melted. There's a bit where the 3D paste met the side of the mould, and that's actually gone soft. The heat has affected that. How odd. Right, this one, the purple and gold one, I just put it in, if you remember, and let it do its thing. I didn't stir it, I just drew like a pattern. So it's kind of weird from the back. Let's see what's happened on the front. Oh yeah, that's a bit different, isn't it? It's stayed nice and pearlescent and metallic. When these have cooled down a bit, I'll lay them all out and we can compare them a bit better maybe. Over to the one that we did quite late on. This is the autumn leaves. Now if you remember, those were all scraps of paper. Quite pleased with how that's come out. A couple of stray bits of glitter because we were having a bit of fun with the glitter going everywhere. But yeah, quite pleased with that one. This is the one where I tried to do a bit of a Petri Swirl with it, but I think it's the wrong shape, and it's been a long time since I've tried Petri, so I'd be very surprised if it's worked. Just get these extra bits off. Oh! Actually, I like it. And how easy was that? I don't know how Petri it is. I don't think I've got much drop on it, but lovely swirls. It's rather rather organic looking again. The S I just did black because we're going to come back to this. We've still yet to do nail art foils and gold leafing. So this is mostly black. It's got like a cloudy effect in it. So we'll just put that to one side. Not overly exciting because it's got a way to go yet. Now this is where I started with the Chameleon powders and flakes. So this was the powder painted on, and as you can see you have got quite a shimmer to it. That is the one that was painted onto, I don't know, I've still got bits of resin sticking to my thumb. That's not good. I'll have to top coat some of these. Can't have mixed it terribly well. But that's the one where I painted it onto the back of resin. So as you can see there's a layer of clear resin and then there's the colour. Okay, so that's given one sort of effect shimmer. And now the comparable one to that where I put it straight onto the mould, I think would be this guy here, the number 5. Because I painted this straight onto the mould rather than put a layer of resin first. So what you can see is that effect is rather gorgeous, but it's not quite as iridescent as if we'd put a layer of resin and then painted the Chameleon powder onto the resin. So that's an interesting comparison if you put the two side by side. Moving on to the letter P. This is the one where I accidentally, I didn't realise I'd got wet resin in that one, and I just ended up dolloping some of the Chameleon powder into it. It should act like a funky glitter, I think. Oops. Again, I've got some cleaning up to do on the back here. Yeah, kind of weird. Kind of, yeah, kind of like it in a different way. But it has pretty much acted like a funky glitter. The Q, I think I painted straight onto the resin again, didn't I? All cleaning up. This mould's going to need a really good clean after, isn't it? And again, you can see how this one has got the layer of clear first, and then I painted the Chameleon flakes onto it. Are you seeing the difference here? That's the flakes, that's the powders. But if you compare them to if you're painting it straight onto the silicone, and here's the flakes that were painted straight onto the silicone, and I just put a clear background on this one. So if you compare that and that, you get a more of a shine, more iridescent if you put yourself a layer of clear in first, or you could top coat your finished piece, of course. Let's carry on around here. This was another one with the, I'm leaving that till last. This was another one with that 3D paint out of the little tube. Again, deeply strange, kind of organic, but you can see how the 3D paint kept its 3D-ness in the mould. You can see it all through there. So that's a kind of weird and funky effect, and I just dribbled it in to see what happened. Rather like that. Now, these ones down the bottom, let's see. The V is going to need it's going to need a load of trimming as well. The main object with this one, let me just trim that off so we can see what we're dealing with. Main object with this one was to see whether we could hold back the glitter into the right area with that 3D paste, and yeah, we've ended up with a nice little silvery line. Now I think though, that's created a hole there, I think that 3D paint has softened because I've had the heat mat on, so it's a bit strange, but there you go. Bits of stray glitter had escaped into this one. Now this one, I think we can probably guess what this is going to look like because it's pretty straightforward. I was wondering, should I have filled it up more? For a keychain maybe, however, you can do these quite thin and then they'd be useful as scrapbooking embellishments. So why not? Oh, that's nice. So that was air dried flowers. That thickness is to be strong too. Certainly strong enough for being a scrapbooking embellishment. Moving on to the Y. Now this one was a load of just little snips at that Florists holographic film. And I kind of knew what that would do. Isn't that fun? And that is the stuff that you can get whopping big pile of it very, very cheaply on eBay or Amazon. I'll put your links for everything you might need if you wanted to try any of these. I'll put them all in the description. Now the X, I should have done the black backing better than that. Should have made sure it covered, but never mind. It's very funky. And that was the little scraps and offcuts of that dichroic type film, the fantasy fusion film or whatever it's called, fusible film. Oh, I think that's quite dramatic, especially with the black background, and I quite like the fact that some of my black background mist didn't go right up to the edges. So again, I'll put you the link for that film stuff as well. Now this is the one I'm excited about because this is the first time I've used that sheet that I made properly. I'd used little offcuts and little experimental ones before, but that actual big sheet that you saw me cut down of the holographic effect. Let's see, it's trapped a stack of bubbles underneath. And I've ended up with silicone stuck to resin stuck to it. It looks like that's survived, so I can reuse it, and there's definitely something going on here. Ooh, look at that. I'll try and get the video for how I made that insert up very quickly because I have a feeling you're going to want to see that. It's ridiculously easy. Oops. So, shame about the bubbles. Although I don't know, it adds something. So can you see that holographic effect? Isn't that nice? Now, does it come through the other side is the question. Sort of. The bubbles might be blocking it. So I needed to degas that better, basically. That's what that boils down to. But it definitely transferred onto our piece, which is nice. Now you can't top coat this side because obviously that is made up of hundreds and probably thousands of tiny little lines that make it do that holographic thing. So you can't top coat it. Shame about the hole in the corner. I might stick a bead in that and fill it. Don't know. But I was hoping it had come through from the back a bit more. You can see some is. As I said, I think the bubbles are blocking it, so I might do another one of those. I might. And be a bit more patient and get the bubbles out better. But I'm going to leave that one up that way. Okay, so that's that lot all demoulded. I'm going to clean this mould up because I still want to do beads and I still want to do the nail art foils, and I still want to do the metal flake, like gilding, that sort of effect on some. So I'll get this mould cleaned up and we'll start to have a play with all of these. Now, let's bring them all back into shot for you because my work surface isn't as messy as I thought it would be. So, that is holographing massively. Now I've put it onto a black background. Look, on my hand, very little black background, quite impressive. Let me find a bit of black card because it might be just as simple to back that with black. Yeah, look. As opposed to, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I might down the back of that with black. Now, I know we haven't done the whole alphabet yet. Still keeping going. There we are. Now the ones I'm going to play with that foil on, the different foils, rather than do some more letters, I think I'll use some of these. The black one, obviously, that was intended for that specifically. Now, which ones of these aren't too exciting? That number 5, that's not overly exciting. Not sure the number 6 is either. These will be when they cure. Yeah, it's a bit boring as well, isn't it? Yeah, so there's a few I've got to play with without making a load more. So there we go, we've got a big chunk of an alphabet and a few numbers. Let's see what we can come up with next. So this video is quite a long one, I know. I do apologise. No, I don't apologise. It's a fun long one. What I'm doing is putting all the little a breakdown of all the timings below for you in the description, so you can pick out the bits that you want. But the last part will be putting things onto these surfaces, basically, so different types of foils and things. Right, I'm going to let these finish firming up and cool off, and we'll come back and do that all later. Right, now I've been promising you for a while we'd have a go to see what we can do with nail foils and also with metal flake. So here we go, we've got some, what I think were the most boring ones from our letters that we made a few days ago, as it is now. This has been ongoing for quite a while, this alphabet set. So these are quite, oh, it's not bad, but I think these are quite boring. And there's a random W I'd made at some point just because I got some resin left over. That's just completely clear. So I thought we'd have a play with these. Now, off camera, I have had a bit of an experiment. That is a pink nail foil, which I painted over the top and then wished I hadn't. I'll show you what I mean in a bit if I do some more metallics. I had a go on some Jesmonite. That's with the metal flake and some nail foils. And this one, which was also quite boring, I put some pretty flowery bits on the bottom half there. But because it's so dark coloured, it's not overly visible. So anyway, we're going to have a play. I have got with me some nail foil glue. I have got various brushes, and I have got my little gilding kit and the gilding adhesive. Both of these came in little kits. I'll put you the link down in the description below for the kits for these as well, because they were fairly recent purchases off Amazon, so I should be able to find the link. Now, in the kit for the nail foil, you get 2 bottles of this. You get assorted brushes and a rubber tip thingy, and a pack of foils. Let me just see if I can find those to show you. Yeah, there's the rubber tip thingy, rather nice. And the foils are, there we go, quite a big pack of foils, so there's quite a lot to choose from. The gilding kit, you get a load of the gold leaf. You can get them with silver leaf and all sorts. It's not real gold, of course, it's Dutch gold, I think. You get a soft fluffy brush. You get a nice little paintbrush for putting the liquid on. That's the sticky liquid, it's called Size. And you get some burnishing wool, which is like a fairly soft cotton wool. So you get everything you need in both of these little kits, and they weren't expensive. So let's first of all have a go at, what should we do? Let's have a go at this very boring S. I did this, if you remember, in a kind of smoky black with got blobs in it. I'm going to bring you in a bit closer now. There we go, and if I centre it on that white spot in the middle of my mat, roughly, then I'll know where you are. So you can see what I'm doing. Right, let's start with the S. And with this one, because it's so dark, I'm going to see if I can find myself a fairly light and bright coloured nail foil. Let's have a look in this pack, because this is all flowers. I'm going for light and bright because that'll be easier for you to see. Oh, I found some monochrome ones. Let's do those. I think those will look pretty. And what I'm going to do is just do half of the letter S so that you can see where it goes. Now, this is ultraviolet curing the sticky layer. So I've got my little ultraviolet lamp. In fact, I'll move him a bit closer. There we are. My trusty clip on the edge of my desk ultraviolet lamp. Again, I'll put the link for that below for you as well. It is the best one I've had so far. I've got a fantastic little handheld one as well, but this, because I can clip it on the edge of the desk, is just a godsend. So, what we're going to do then, it's dead simple this, is decide what area we want to cover with our nail foils. We're going to give it a coat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cure it, and basically this stays sticky. Okay, so we're just doing the bottom half of that letter S, as you can see. Now I'm going to point my little ultraviolet lamp at it, and we're going to give it a good cure. Now I did, when I was experimenting with these, I did discover that you can, if you don't cure it well, then it's still sticky. You just end up in a bit of a mess. So let's see how well is that cured. Yep, that's cured pretty well already. Like I said, this lamp is a high-powered one, despite its modest size. So now what we've got is a sticky half at the bottom of this letter S. Can you see the part that's shiny? There we are. And all we're going to do is pop down the foil, and you put the, you can see one side is the back and one is the front, so it's the back that you're putting down. Then we're going to lay it across the area that I've made sticky, and we're going to press it thoroughly. And now I should be able to pull this away, and it should, she says right across everything, it should leave the flowers behind from that area. And there we are. Isn't that lovely? And I like that it's only on half of it too. So that's smashing. Now theoretically, if that's gone well, you shouldn't need to seal it. I might anyway, but you shouldn't need to. Okay, let's do something different on the top half. Let's have another nail foil though. I've got here some metallic ones. This is kind of shimmery, metallic-y, holography, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking for a silvery one. These are nice. Honestly, nail foils, they're so stupidly cheap. Oh, that's like a shimmery silver. They're so cheap on eBay and places like that, it's ridiculous. But I can imagine if you're a nail foil artist, you would get through quite a lot of these. Is that going to spoil that if I... Yes, I think it will. I like it as it is. We'll leave it. Let's try this highly iridescent one on... I know. Let's do it on this one. Let's do it across the clear area. Maybe, I want to leave a bit of it clear actually, so let's maybe do it on this side. So I quite like the idea of going diagonally. Let's go diagonally across. Of course, if you want to, you can go around the corner, you could go all around here and so on, and just keep it going. Let's give that a cure. And then we'll move on to the gold leaf ones. Something I just wanted to show you, and whilst that's curing I will. Have a look at this. Look at the gold shine on that. That is mica powder, because inside it's just black resin. bear that in mind when you're trying to do metallic effects. If you want like a beautiful satin, gold, metallic or silver, whatever finish, you can just use mica powders. That's the Letter Resin metallic powders. So I'll show you those. I'm going to be doing some dragons soon. As soon as I've got this little project out of the way, dragons are my next thing. So I'll show you all the different micas and how they behave in dragon moulds. Right. So again, as you can see, we've got the dull back, got the shiny front. Let's just slap it straight across the area that I have put the glue on, which is basically, in this case, it's just a very sticky ultraviolet curing stuff, that's all. Press that on and ta-da! There we go, isn't that nice? Now of course what you can do, and because these are going to be key rings, I think I probably will, is dome them off afterwards. So to do that I'm just getting my Letter Resin ultraviolet curing resin out. Other brands are available. I've tried a few other brands, there's some good ones out there. I just rather like this one, to be honest. I just find it reliable and it doesn't tend to dry sticky. If it does, I just leave it in the sun or something on a windowsill for a day. I found sometimes if I do it too thick it can do. It can be just slightly sticky, but then they all can. I just find this one works really nicely. It's just the right viscosity to give you a nice surface tension for doming as well. Which is why I get these nice big bottles. Now I don't know if you can see this, but as I'm going around with the resin topping this off, even though I had put a layer of resin into these moulds before I put that glitter in, this is the Cleopatra one, it is still benefiting from having a clear layer over the top. And I hope the camera is picking this up, because the area where I've put that foil on has absolutely come to life as I'm putting the domed layer over the top. I think what happens is it magnifies that whole surface. Now, of course you could just coat it over with clear nail varnish or some other varnish, or you could just brush a thin layer of resin over it. But I think doming these actually gives them a much more, it kind of brings the shine out. It magnifies it. I'm sure that's what it's doing. So we're going to give those a cure. Now, while those are curing, I will explain to you what we do with the gold leaf, because it's a very similar process. Basically, we need to create a sticky surface. And the stuff that they use for doing that, I've got a funny feeling it's got some sort of latex content to it or something. I don't know. It's strange. It goes on white. It's called size. And it's what proper gilders would use. Would use real gold leaf and so on. So a little bottle of it came with a kit. You paint it on. It's white initially, which is great because you can see where it is. And then it goes clear. Once it's gone clear, it's cured enough and it's gone sticky. Actually, it's a bit like false eyelash glue, for any of you who know about that. Some of those are white and then go clear. So, yeah, it's quite handy. PVA does as well, doesn't it? But you can't go sticking anything onto this until it has gone really clear and it's got that stickiness to it rather than being wet. So that's what we'll be doing next. You don't need any UV to cure it, you just need to give it a couple of minutes to get to that stage. So let me just push these over to one side. I'll have a closer look at them once they're properly cured, but I'm going to leave them under a UV lamp for just a bit longer, just because I might as well. Right, so it's putting the top on and packing away the nail foil one, creating an almighty mess back here. Right, gold leaf. I'm thinking this one, and maybe the clear one, because then we'll be able to see what it looks like from the back as well. So what we do, we're going to get our little brush, and this came with a nice little soft brush here, and we're going to brush on, give it a good shake first. Don't know if you have to, but I feel as if I should. we're just going to brush it onto the areas that we need the size to go onto. And again, I'm going to kind of go for a diagonal. Now this won't stick to the resin as well as it did, as well as the false nail stuff did. Well, that one's going quite well. Just going to do an area again. Yeah, this isn't the sort of stuff that's going to stick very well to your resin, so you have to give it a bit of a coat by the look of it. You have got your little brush to spread it out with. To be honest, I'm getting on quite well with doing it just from my bottle like this. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to do that side of the W. Hang on, let me just move you back in. I've got to remember where my target zone is. Yeah, and over here you can see it's kind of pulling away, so I'm putting more on. If you were on a porous surface like wood or card, you would need a lot less, I'm sure. But with this, it doesn't want to stick to the surface of the resin so well. So there we are, I'm going to pop the top back on, get the cloth ready, and just going to try and encourage it towards the edges a little bit as it starts to cure. Try to get a better coverage. There we are. So now I just need to wait for it to go clear. So it's going to take a couple of minutes even in this nice warm room I'm in. It's starting to go, look, you can see it's starting to go clear. But I'm going to leave that for a couple of minutes now and we'll be back when it's gone clear. Right, here we go. They've gone clear. That was literally, what, 4 or 5 minutes. It's as quick as that. Now, this stuff, this foil, my goodness, it's fine. If you can help it, avoid touching it with your fingers because it just sticks to everything. So what I'm tending to do is pick it up. See, look, it's sticking to my fingers. Picking it up with the soft brush that comes with it and sliding the bit of card that it's packed in under it. See, look, it's even sticking to itself. God, how people do entire ceilings and things with this just amazes me. Right, so that corner of the F is, the 5 rather, is sticky. And I hoped to get it on better than that. And I just didn't. There we go. So, similar principle. Stick it on, lift it off. But this is a lot more delicate. And the size is a lot more sticky. Okay, so that's that one that it's stuck on. I'm picking it up with my fingers. Yeah, look, stuck to my fingers. It's just so delicate, it sticks to everything. Right. Including your silicone mat, it seems. Tweezers might have been easier for this, mightn't they? I think tweezers will probably tear it. There we are. Right, I've got off the majority. And as you can see, we've got a really nice gold finish there. So you brush off the surplus. Now what I'm going to suggest to you is scoop up all these surplus bits because you can use them for other things. There, we all buy pots of the metal flake, don't we? It's basically this. So save all your bits. I once saw some chaps gilding a real gold roof. It was all the mouldings, all the plaster mouldings, in one of the rooms at Hadser Hall. And it was like they'd got all white sheets on the floor below it, and it was like it was snowing gold. but of course they were scooping all the bits of gold up to be used for other things. It would be recycled. So there you go, look at that. Now of course you could dome over the top of it if you want, or you could leave it at that lovely satiny finish. Might be a bit easier to see on this number 5. And with this, obviously I didn't get quite as thorough with my coverage, I don't think, so I've ended up with edges that haven't caught, but never mind, it's given it a nice sort of weathered gold coming off type of effect. There we go, that's it. That's it. We can coat over the top of it to protect it. We could. Shall we do that on one of them and see what happens? Let's do it on this number 5. The burnishing wool that comes with it, by the way, it looks like little cotton wool pads, but all it's for is to give it that final polish and rub down. Just burnishes it onto the surface better than you would do with your brush. Because you can put a little bit of pressure on it then. There we go. Let's see what happens if we then top it off by doming it. We'll just do the one and we'll see what different effect it gives. I know you won't be able to see this probably because I'm pretty sure my hand and the bottle are a little bit in the way at the moment, but give me a second and you will see what I'm seeing. And that is very nice. So let's get the torch on it, and we'll put the two side by side and have a proper close look. While that's doing, I shall very carefully try to put this away, because obviously I know it's not real gold, but I still don't want to waste it. Right, that's probably done now, knowing the speed this lamp works at. Right, if we put these two side by side then, that is a beautiful brushed metal finish. Very nice. And again, we could do, go all the way around. And because we can see on the back of this one, we can see that the back of it has got a lovely brushed metal effect as well. This one, try not to touch it because it might still be a little bit sticky. It's the same sort of effect really, but doming it has given it more of a glass over the top effect, which is kind of what you'd expect. So there we go. We have now done some gold leafing. I got some mess to clean up again. Also, while we were waiting for that size to cure, I put an extra domed coat on that one that we put the cellophane inside. This one has now cured as well. As has this, which was the most boring one, and I think it's turned out being one of my favourites. Love that black and white there. I also put an extra dome layer on this one. Now this is the one that I put loads of nail embellishments, little beads, roses, all sorts in there. I put another coat, just domed off the one that had that origami paper inside it, and also the other one that had origami paper in it. So we domed those off a little bit. And I also domed off the nice W that we'd put the autumn flowers in. Let me zoom you out so we can see everything we've ended up with, because this is the end of the series of playing with the letters. The big letter mould. I hope that's given you some ideas. I should probably dome the rest of these off, and I shall put them onto key rings and things like that. So I hope it's given you some ideas. If you remember, we had 3D paints. We just scribbled in that one. We used a 3D paint as a barrier in this one. we used dichroic film, fantasy film it's called, in that one, and then splodged some black on the back. That was Chameleon Flakes in wet resin. This was glitter, which I let one colour of glitter settle before I put the second one in. Same with that. This one originally was the glitter and then clear in the other side. This one's just glitter. It's just pretty glitter. This was just dropped alcohol inks. That was Chameleon Flakes brushed into it, into the mould. That was Chameleon Flakes brushed into the mould after it had a cured layer of resin in there, as was that one if I remember rightly. Yeah, might be the other end. Can't remember. That was something to do with Chameleon Flakes anyway. That was alcohol inks, and we gave it a swirl. This was more of that 3D paint again. Is that all of them? That was glitter and then some nail foil. That was alcohol inks again, just different colours, and some nail foils. That was nothing, that's just resin. That was the one that we put the holographic on the back of, which in this light isn't going to show very well. Oh, and that was blobs of 3D. I think I've covered them all, haven't I? There you go. Oh yes, paper punch, autumn shapes. That's got to be all of them. Right, I don't know if we did the whole alphabet, I don't think we did, but we must be close on. So I hope that's given you some ideas anyway as to the different things you can do. It's tempting to just put flowers straight in or just go for the glitters. Yeah, hopefully that's given you some ideas to think a little bit more broadly, and you know, you can do all sorts of things with them really. If you have any other great ideas as to what you could put in your alphabet letters, let me know. I'd love to see what you do with it. Don't forget I've got a Facebook page. Just look on Facebook for mini scenes, and by all means post all your pictures on there. Even if they're for sale, I'm happy for you to advertise your art on there. That's fine. I would just love to see what you do. And of course, there's also the community page in YouTube here, so do pop pictures in there too. Just really want to see what you do. So I hope you enjoyed all that. It's rather a long video, which is why I put all those little timestamps in so you could whiz through it and just see the bits that you wanted to see. So I hope that was useful for you. Next projects, I really am going to get into dragons because I've been itching to do that for a while, but kind of got a bit distracted by this. So we've got dragons coming up. I've got a new mould as well. Well, that's a new mould. This is a new mould. I've got my big dragon mould, got some little dragon moulds, loads of dragon stuff to come up. So there we are. Right, I'll see you for the next one. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do. As you can tell, I've got quite a lot of stuff coming up for you soon. Some masterclass type stuff as well as more beginners type stuff too. Thanks all for all your support. Bye then.